Welcome to the Meat and Potatoes podcast. Today we're here with Kimberly Cassady, who is the Chief People Officer, MX. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I am good, thank you. We were talking a little bit of baseball.
Yes, we were. Go Yankees.
Go Yankees. And Joe DiMaggio is my favorite player from the Yankees all time. Yours is?
I said Derek Jeter. Yep.
Great choice.
More recent, but...
Great choice. All right. Well, we can't talk baseball.
I mean, we could.
We could.
That's all right.
Probably start a whole new podcast, but we'll have to think through that.
Yeah.
Can't do it on the
I'm
fly.
down.
Cool. Well, let's jump into, for those that don't know, what is MX?
So MX is, or what we aim to do, is empower the world to be financially strong through open source financed economy. And what that means is really empowering people to have the best access they can to their money where it sits across all the financial institutions or other fintech apps.
Very cool. Big problem to solve. And you guys are kind of a stalwart on the Mount Rushmore of Silicon Slopes, longtime supporters, so we appreciate that. But 10, 12-year-old company?
Yeah. 12 years.
Very cool. And you are a new addition, correct?
That's right.
And what does a chief people officer do at a company like MX?
I mean, the chief people officer anywhere, at least I believe, is in charge of three things, or really aimed to amplify three things. And it's to attract, retain, and develop. That's our sole purpose across any program we're running. And yeah, we have compliance, and sometimes we're the HR police, but it's not where we intend to spend our times. And anything that we can make easier from a people perspective for the business, that's what we aim to do. And that's what I aim to do at MX.
Yeah. And so it takes a team at that point, right? Because you've got everyone kind of reports to the CEO, but then you've got operations and marketing and then people, and you all have to be rowing in the same direction, I would assume.
Right. Preferred. But there is some great disruption in those that row in the other direction. And that's where, MX is founded in, going in the other direction and opening up doors and possibilities. So we do like the disruption, and we also promote our people to do that in a healthy way.
Yeah, for sure. And so real quick example of how it works in the real world. You've got your executive team and will we project to grow at this rate? And we're going to launch this new product. And inevitably all the eyeballs turn to you and can you make that happen, right?
Certainly try to, through clarity, communication, education, and the things that aren't easy or simple. It's, how do we dispel that? How do we make it simple and easy? And to say that we have, as a profession or even as a person, have figured it all out. HR had to reinvent itself just like everyone else did through COVID and remote work. And it's that constant evolution of meeting people where they're at today and where they're headed.
Yeah. And are you guys hybrid, in office, remote still?
Yeah, we are a hybrid. We're a flex first. So you can choose to be in the office, and we still provide many great amenities, but we also support people that come in and out or fully remote and people that are moving away from HQ. So we're really focused on the work and productivity you do, not where you do it.
Gotcha. How many employees do you guys have these days?
We're just shy of 750.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, and growing.
Yeah. And everyone's kind of been disrupted over the last couple of years and had to be flexible and imaginative. But I think chief people officers in particular have had to roll with the punches.
Absolutely.
What was that like for you?
I would say the last 2 years, especially 2020 itself, was probably the toughest of my career because people were looking to people like me in my role for the answers. And we're doing things in a time where things hadn't been done before. So we were inventing as we were going through it and still trying to act like the experts and speak with confidence and definitely making mistakes and having to roll things back and go at it again. But we've certainly built that muscle of it's okay to not have it right, and we'll go back in and fix it. And we'll reinvent again in 6 months because we're going to have to.
Yeah. And with all of those curveballs, it's like, well, there's a little bit of a bear market warning. Not that I want to promote that, but it's been quite frothy, right?
Yeah.
Here locally and in several economies throughout the world. What are some tricks and tools that you guys have used successfully to recruit and retain over the past 2 years?
Yeah. I think, to that point of a bear market, we have certainly folks that have lived through past and are asking, what are we doing as an organization? And those that are also blissfully unaware. So you want to both build confidence on one end and educate on the other end. And that's really our philosophy in anything we're trying to do and implement. So when we look to recruit, one, we really want people tied to the mission of what MX is going to do for the world and the financial economy. And folks that are interested in that, they do not have to have a financial background. I have no financial background and knowledge besides my own account management. And I'm still here making a huge impact along with the rest of the people team, along with our marketing team. So we really say, come join us and we'll teach you. I'm still learning what it means for open source financing and how I can create an impact in this, what's really a growing and emerging, and I find it to be very sexy technology space because it does touch every single person.
Yeah, that is very true. And the vast majority of people have zero idea, like all the work that goes into making it so they can buy a pair of sandals.
That's right.
And it's not something that I would want to build. So I always commend folks that have plowed into it and figured it out because it is very complex.
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts.
Some people may hesitate to apply, but from a recruiting perspective, where we've really been effective is being open to anyone and everyone wherever they're at. So looking at our job qualifications and changing them from that heavy-weighted, you have to have this experience or this education. And it also opens us up to a more diverse workforce as well, which brings more creativity, challenges the way we're currently thinking, and that drives our overall innovation. So,
yeah, I think diversity for a fintech organization like yours would be extra additive.
Yeah.
Because everyone's finances are different, everyone's experiences with money are different, and if you've got everyone that views the world and finances the same way, that's kind of how the product will work.
Yep, 100%.
All right, so retention is nice because people are already in there. They like what MX is doing. They like the team. They like the culture. What is retention like in 2022?
Retention for MX is good. It's slightly better than average, which I'll take as a win in the Great Resignation. A lot of that has to do with the great culture and opportunities that we give people in that creative space. So even though we're not all together in the office, there's still a lot of connectivity that gets created. Either some through travel, some through phone calls, some through typical Zoom like everybody else. But it's the additional programs that we add on top of that, celebrating our wins on a weekly basis, to newsletters, to conferences, to empowering employees through either our ERGs, our employee resource groups, or advisory boards to educate folks like me on what they're thinking and how they're feeling.
Yeah. If somebody was at a family barbecue and let's say they've worked at MX for 6 years and their uncle's like, wow, that's a long time to work at a company these days. What do you think the answer is of that employee?
It's going to be the people. They're going to be, I'm here because of the people and our mission. And in fact, I'll get that opportunity tonight because we're having a little movie night right down the street with the premiere of Jurassic World and running it out for our team members to come with their family members. And so I'll try that out. I'll see what they'll say.
Yes. I think like good executive and management team So they would know the answer kind of inherently. But it's always interesting when I ask others, like, man, you've been there 10 years, or why did you leave that other good job for this job? I think just that 1 or 2 sentence answer
Yeah.
is very valuable.
Yeah. And as somebody that recently came to MX and left a company of 10 years, to use that example, I very much like the build. And MX is in that stage of building and operating this year as though we're a public company and getting ready for that IPO. Even if we elect not to do it because of the market next year, we're going to be ready for whenever we choose to. And that's an exciting time and place to be at an organization.
Yeah, I can imagine it's a little bit of a different intensity and tone as you're getting ready to go public. And obviously when you are public, right, it's a little bit different. Have you seen or sensed that from the employees? Like, is it excitement? Is it worry? Is it dread?
No worry. Definitely excitement and questioning. Why do we need to do things like this now, or change something that's been working? And it is working now, or has worked, but will it work in the future, whether we're public or not? So as you scale, things change, right? Just the way in which you communicate. You can't hold one meeting and reach a 30 people team. You've got to reach the 750. And so communicating one message has to come through multiple channels all the way down the chain just to get the message across, make sure it's heard and interpreted correctly.
Yeah. And you mentioned diversity, equity, inclusion a little bit. What is your focus on that particular part of being the Chief People Officer at MX?
The focus today is education and inclusion, right? So driving greater awareness. Obviously, people think DEI, they immediately go to hiring more diverse, underrepresented groups. That's an important aspect of DEI, but it's not the only one you can focus on, because you need to retain those people after you bring them in. And so it means bringing everyone along in that journey, whether they're male, whether they're white, whether they are LGBTQ, along in that process of what each underrepresented group means and brings in their from their unique culture to their perspective. And so right now it's all about the education and inclusion to further drive retention of underrepresented groups.
Yeah. And one of those might be folks with like disabilities, cognitive, like dyslexia.
Yes, it would be.
What are your thoughts on that?
And so as somebody who has dyslexia, I very much focus on that experience at an organization and what it's like. One, because it's my perspective and I can bring it, and our team members will benefit from it, but really an opportunity to educate others on what it's like. And dyslexia, depending on the environment that you're in, it is a disability and it's debilitating for the individual. In the right environment, it's an immense asset for the organization. And so if you can create the right environment for somebody with dyslexia and dyslexic thinking, you'll really tap into something extraordinary.
Yeah. And just with dyslexia, we all know folks that have it, but a lot of the times you don't know till after the fact, or, there might be like signs in an email or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
In 2022 with dyslexia, what is the role of like a Chief People Officer? Is it something you'd ask people, or if they do have dyslexia, are there like tools or ways to manage that?
So I certainly don't ask, and I don't advocate people to ask. I certainly would say, is there any way that we can help you? Do you need any accommodations? Is there ways we can present information to help you? And so for folks that don't know, dyslexia is really, in its true form, it's the cognitive patterns of my brain and people like me are different. And that difference is debilitating or an asset. And growing up, I thought dyslexia meant I read words backwards. And I'm like, I don't read words backwards. I don't have dyslexia. But it's my ability to read something and comprehend it in the same way. I will see words that are not there based on how my brain is firing. But it can also be auditory. Sometimes I can struggle to put the right emphasis on the right syllable, right? And it comes out incorrectly. And people may view either my writing or my speech as intelligence or a lack of intelligence, but it's just a different brain pattern. And that brain pattern can actually drive those with dyslexia have greater visualization, they're more imaginative, so they can see a bigger picture because they're not marred in the details of reading a long document and trying to figure it out. They're actually already in the problem-solving aspect of it. So to your point of, what can somebody do? It's all about what we require of people to receive data, receive information. Are we asking them to read a training manual? Or are we presenting audible or visual ways of learning information to help set them up for success?
Yeah, I like it. It's common sense. And it's just like a nicer way to treat people, right? Like, here's
Exactly.
a lot of words. Here's a visual presentation. Here's an audible presentation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just common sense because people,
Yeah.
whether they have dyslexia or not, everyone learns differently.
Heavy email-based environments are more debilitating for dyslexic team members. I'm thankful that MX is heavy Slack users because it's like you're getting tidbits, almost bullet points. And I tell people all the time, speak to me in bullet points, especially in an email. If I have to scroll more than once, you've probably written too much, and we should have a conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I don't tell them that's because of dyslexia. I tell them, my preferred way of getting information from you is this.
Yeah. Another good common sense piece of advice there. All right. You mentioned exciting times, IPO looming. What else has you excited for the future of MX?
We're really invested in creating those new technologies that empower people to have greater money experience. And understanding your money is complex. If you think about all the ways, if I were to ask you now you might know this, what is your assets last month? You probably have to go to many different resources, compile it all together. You wouldn't know immediately. And to ask your spend would even be greater.
Yeah.
Different credit cards, different institutions, different, your mortgage could be at your bank or could be sold to another bank. 401k here, IRA there, stocks here, you name it. So to help pull that together for people, it's your money, it's your information. And so I love where the fintech technology is taking people to better engage, to better empower them with the knowledge of what is essentially theirs and the way that they use it.
Yeah. It only makes sense, right?
Yeah.
They earned
Yeah.
it.
I'm surprised it didn't exist before.
Of all the things that are kind of personal, it's like I just grinded out 40 hours of work and got a paycheck. And to your point, like behind the scenes, like your mortgage could be with a whole nother.
Yep. And then you have to log into all those different users. You have to, I'm in the process of moving right now. I've got to log into, just change my address across all of those platforms.
Yeah.
And it takes forever.
Oh,
And they'll
it's
have
worse.
different login criteria. So part of it is how we connect people
Yeah.
with their information and not having to go through those multiple resources. So really creating access.
Yeah. Which saves people a lot of time, which probably saves them money, which is good. And you can
That would be the goal.
avoid a bear market.
That's right.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Kimberly, for taking the time to join us today and sharing some insights on, dyslexia and being a chief people officer and the bright future of MX. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And
Thank
go
you.
Yankees.
Go Yankees.